Imagine this. On August 29, 1526, the Ottoman Empire accomplished what many in Europe believed to be impossible. In just 2 hours, an Ottoman army crushed and annihilated a 50,000-strong Hungarian force, erasing an entire kingdom from the political map of Europe. This was not simply a battlefield victory, it was a historical rupture. On the plain of Mohács, the balance of power in Central Europe collapsed in a single afternoon, and the shockwaves of that collapse would be felt across the continent for generations. When Suleiman the Magnificent ascended the Ottoman throne in 1520, he inherited not only a powerful empire, but also an increasingly dangerous international environment. To the west, Europe was dominated by the Habsburg dynasty. Charles V, ruler of an unprecedented expanse of territory, was simultaneously Holy Roman Emperor, King of Spain, and Archduke of Austria. His ambition was clear: to unite Europe under a single Christian imperial authority and contain, if not destroy, Ottoman power. A united Europe posed an existential threat to the Ottomans, and Suleiman understood this better than anyone. His strategy was therefore not merely conquest, but division. A divided Europe was a manageable Europe. At the same time, Europe was tearing itself apart internally. In 1525, the French suffered a catastrophic defeat at the Battle of Pavia. King Francis I of France was captured by Charles V and imprisoned in Madrid. France was humiliated and politically paralyzed. In one of history's greatest ironies, a Christian king and his mother, Louise de Savoie, sought salvation not from another Christian ruler, but from the Muslim Sultan in Istanbul. Letters were sent to Suleiman the Magnificent, pleading for intervention. The logic was simple. If the Ottomans attacked Hungary, Charles V would be forced to divert his attention eastward, easing pressure on France and paving the way for Francis's release. Suleiman recognized both the opportunity and the danger. He did not merely see France's plea as an act of desperation, but as a strategic opening to prevent the formation of a unified European empire. Hungary stood at the center of this grand geopolitical chessboard. For nearly 200 years, the Kingdom of Hungary had served as a buffer between the Ottomans and the heart of Europe. As long as Hungary remained intact, Vienna and beyond were protected. Suleiman knew that this barrier had to be removed. Thus, in the spring of 1526, the Ottoman Empire launched one of the largest and most carefully prepared military expeditions of the early modern world. The army that marched out of Istanbul numbered approximately 100,000 soldiers, supported by an extraordinary 300 cannons. It was a force drawn from across the empire. Rumelian and Anatolian Sipahis, elite Janissary infantry, artillery units unmatched anywhere in Europe, Akanja raiders, armorers, engineers, and veteran warriors hardened by decades of conquest. Discipline within the Ottoman ranks was absolute. Soldiers were forbidden to harm civilians or damage crops. Any violation was punished severely. This was not a marauding army. It was a state-controlled war machine. The army advanced methodically, first reaching Belgrade, then securing the Danube line. The fortress of Petrovaradin, a critical stronghold guarding Hungary's southern approaches, fell after a brief siege. Soon afterward, the fortress of Ujlak was captured. With these victories, Hungary's southern defensive system collapsed entirely, and the Danube River came fully under Ottoman control. The path into the Hungarian heartland now lay open. News of the Ottoman advance spread panic throughout Hungary. The young King Louis II, only 20 years old, rushed to assemble an army from every corner of his kingdom. His confidence rested on what Europe considered its most formidable battlefield weapon, heavily armored cavalry. These elite horsemen, encased in steel from head to toe and sometimes linked together with chains, were designed to smash through enemy formations with overwhelming force. Behind them would follow infantry, mercenaries, pikemen, and halberdiers to complete the destruction. This tactic had previously succeeded against Ottoman forces, and Hungarian commanders believed it could succeed again. The Hungarian army, under the leadership of the experienced commander Paul Timuri, moved south and chose the battlefield at Mohács. The terrain appeared favorable, open ground for cavalry maneuvers with marshlands nearby that could restrict enemy movement. Timuri's plan was bold and risky: strike quickly before the Ottoman army could fully deploy and overwhelm its forward elements. What he did not realize was that Suleiman had already anticipated this very approach. At Mohács, the Ottomans deliberately abandoned their traditional battle formation. Instead, they adopted a deep, layered defensive structure designed specifically to neutralize heavy cavalry. The Rumelian troops formed the front line, the Anatolian forces stood behind them, and at the rear was Sultan Suleiman himself, the Janissaries, and the massed artillery. Crucially, the cannons were not placed at the front, but held back, concealed, and protected. Meanwhile, Akinci cavalry waited on the flanks and along potential retreat routes, ready to strike at the decisive moment. On the afternoon of August 29th, 1526, the Hungarian army launched its attack. The armored cavalry thundered forward, crashing into the Ottoman front line with immense force. The Rumelian troops wavered and began to fall back. To the Hungarians, this appeared to be the decisive breakthrough they had hoped for. Interpreting the retreat as panic, King Louis II committed his entire force to the advance. The Hungarian army surged forward, pressing deep into what they believed was a collapsing enemy formation. But this retreat was an illusion. At the critical moment, the Rumelian and Anatolian units opened to the sides, creating a deadly corridor. The Hungarian cavalry poured into this space and straight into the heart of the Ottoman trap. Suddenly, the ground shook as Ottoman cannons unleashed devastating fire at close range. Cannonballs tore through armored ranks. Janissary musketeers followed with disciplined volleys. At the same time, Akinci raiders struck from the flanks and rear, severing any chance of retreat or regrouping. The Hungarian army was crushed from every direction. Panic spread instantly. Commanders fell. Formations dissolved. Soldiers attempted to flee, only to find their escape routes blocked. The only path left led toward the Karasu marshes, where thousands of Hungarian soldiers drowned under the weight of their armor. King Louis II himself died during the retreat, dragged down as his horse stumbled and fell. In less than 2 hours, the Hungarian army was annihilated. One of Europe's oldest kingdoms had ceased to function as a state. After Mohács, there was no force left to defend Hungary. The road to Buda, the Hungarian capital, lay open. When the Ottomans arrived, the city surrendered without resistance. The psychological impact of this victory was immense. Across Europe, fear spread faster than any army could march. Chroniclers, nobles, and peasants alike repeated the same words in hushed tones. The fall of Hungary against the Ottoman Empire in such a short time had created tremendous fear throughout Europe. A single sentence was circulating in Europeans' tongues: Turks are coming.